Welcome to Robo Success, the podcast that loves robots, marketing, and success. Here we spotlight the innovators building the future of robotics. Hit subscribe, share with a friend, and let's get started.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Robo Success Podcast. Today I'm super excited because I have an amazing woman leader in this podcast. And as you know, I'm always all about women in robotics, and today I have an amazing one, Christine Turner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm Christine Turner White. I have quite an experience in go-to-market. My background is channels, and a lot of what I've done over the course of my career has been channel strategy, channel marketing, more recently enablement and programs. And my background is really more in enterprise software. I had some warehouse automation background, supply chain background, and e-commerce initially, and then moved into IBM, and Salesforce, and more recently at Boston Dynamics. And it's been quite a journey.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, I have to say that one of interesting, backgrounds in Christine is all about this rich experience in other industry that now made her to be the principal partner enablement in Boston Dynamics. And, working with Boston Dynamics, I'm assuming, has been an exciting challenge to bring together all these many years of experience in the SaaS industry, in the software, especially, coming from IBM, Salesforce. And now we see that suddenly the robotics industry also needs, to create an ecosystem around to grow. So
That's right.
I really love this experience because I will say that in my career or in my journey, it was kind of a mix. It was robotics, and of course it was a little of software, right? Because of course at that time SaaS was the big one, but now we see robotics growing. And I think this is what I would like to get a little deeper in all the experience you have been enabled these channels, these partnerships, this growth for these companies. What do you think in these fast moving markets, where do you most often see the channel marketing breakdown, how this is, helping companies to keep growing through these channels?
Yeah, I think when we think about the ecosystem, partner ecosystem means different things to different companies. And in a high growth company or industry like robotics, it's really important to define sort of what kind of partnerships you really want. Throughout my career, I've worked with lots of different types of partner ecosystems, and they follow a really interesting trajectory, almost identical regardless of industry. And that ecosystem growth cycle looks like this. We start thinking about we need partners, and in some cases we've needed resellers or distributors for our products. And we brainstormed who might be good, we recruited them on board, maybe we hired partner sellers that could work with them. Everybody got excited about this alternative channel of going to market. And we started selling, and revenues increased. People thought this was a great idea. Maybe we expanded that partner ecosystem, and lots of people were touching this very exciting space. Inevitably, what comes next is channel conflict. And this happens regardless whether it's large enterprise SaaS companies or robotics, there's a channel conflict, right? And that is, wow, a lot of these partners are right in my market space. How do we delineate what they touch versus what I touch? Or how do we delineate size of deal, for instance? They can take small things, I take large things. Maybe I serve as the primary and they serve as a secondary. The channel conflict is real and the tension starts. And invariably with fast moving companies, they say, you know what, this is just perhaps not worth pursuing. It's taking a lot of energy and calories for the company to sort of manage this tension. And then at some point, somebody realizes, wow, you guys have generated quite a bit of revenue this year. Your targets are now 2x. And next year, I'd like you to hit those targets. And the light bulb goes on. And in some cases, they say, wow, how are we going to not only sell this much, but service this much? If you're in a software company, maybe you're thinking about implementation partners. Maybe you're thinking about how we're going to ramp those customers up and make sure that they're super successful. Maybe from a distribution perspective, I can't reach all of those customers that need to happen in that region that I'm not present in. And all of a sudden the light bulb is, maybe we need to be selective about the kinds of partners that we hire. Maybe we need to think of like a SWOT analysis of where do we have holes that we can strategically fill with partners. And that exercise is usually much more informed as far as knowing what your business go-to-market model looks like, knowing where you're willing to place your resources and your investment. So then we hire those partners, we bring them aboard, we engage them in margin conversations or services conversations. Oftentimes service partners will want the services revenue from the implementation of a software product, or they want the services revenue to fix something that is broken in a manufacturing cycle, right? And that's the attraction that they bring. We get to the point where customers are now engaging with those partners. And we, as an organization, now need to figure out how to enable all of those partners in those regions, maybe in their local language, maybe in all of the ways that we're launching roadmap opportunities, new go-to-market models, new sales playbooks, whatever it means. We need a whole infrastructure to make sure that those partners are receiving everything that our sales organization is receiving. And then we might find that customers maybe are not as happy with the service that they're getting from the partners in their region. Maybe they'd rather go direct with us. And what we're beginning to understand is maybe we need to certify these partners. Maybe we need to say, this is the standard by which we serve our customers, and this is the standard by which you can expect to receive content from us. And we have certified these partners to be a full extension of who we are as a brand. And that certification program takes infrastructure, that takes investment, right? And as the ecosystem begins to grow, we're starting to measure things like CSAT, customer satisfaction, or Net Promoter Score. Like, are they willing to come back and buy more? Are they willing to trust that partner in the region? It becomes an industry and a business of itself. And so to tie this all back to the conversation we started with, in a high growth, agile kind of environment like robotics, it's very difficult to imagine you'd ever be there. And it's very difficult to imagine how I can possibly invest in all of these areas to support partners when I might be trying to get products out the door. I might be trying to launch a new, robot. I might be trying to figure out what's the next iteration of my software. It's difficult because technology is changing quickly. Maybe your needs are changing quickly. And so partnering as an endeavor often requires a little bit more forethought on the business process that you choose to use to go to market.
Yep. And I always say this, wow, it's amazing all you say, because also I have been through that experience in other companies, right? When they hit that point where we need to scale, and the only way to scale is through partners, right? And then you are realizing that, yes, you build your company here in US, but now you have partners in other countries, in other languages, in other cultures, right? So what I always like to ask, the companies I work with is, what do you think you can, from now prevent that is going to take you to there, right? So start thinking a strategy that at some point you're going to hit that point, right? I know sometimes, especially when you're building technology, you want to be tackling 2 weeks of work. What is the progress of the development in 2 weeks, right? But then you need to consider this strategy that is, as a long vision that is going to bring the revenue. What are you doing right now as a company in the process, in your marketing, in your go-to-market strategy to get to that point? Because at the end, it's not just about developing the best product. You need to get it into the market. You need to deliver the value, and you need to enable that from inside of your company.
Yeah.
So if you were, working with a startup, right? Because I know you have experience now with companies in the hypergrowth. But what about those startups that are starting, to emerge? What do you think you will tell them to start doing right now to start thinking in that process?
Sure. I've always said marketing follows the business. So we shouldn't be doing marketing in a vacuum. We should be thinking about what is the business strategy for how we're either launching products or growing products, and how does that marketing support that? So the advice I would give, I suppose, would be, think about piloting something. Don't boil the ocean, right? Start small. Figure out, let's test market. a reseller, a distributor. Maybe it's a technology partner that extends and completes our solution. In a warehouse, that might be, a forklift company, or that might be a conveyor company. In software, that might be a technology that complements a particular industry go-to-market opportunity. Think about, how do you extend the solution that you are offering by utilizing partners? Pick one. Think about who is the master in that space, right? Who has become the subject matter expert, the market leader? Who has the investment to make, not only in human beings to help sell or collaborate with you, but in marketing, go-to-market? It's a jewel when you can find a company that has dedicated marketing people that understand the concept of 1 + 1 is 3, right? You plus me equals a better solution for the end user. So I would say start with picking 1 or 2 companies that you want to test your partner strategy with. Articulate where you want to go and scale. To your point, if we're going to scale in the US to industries that are adjacent, or we're going to scale in Europe where we don't have a footprint. And begin to figure out not just how do we get social media buzz, or how do we make a big press release out of this, but really think about, from the customer's lens, what is the value of this partnership? How do I take advantage of the fact that they were smart enough to build this collaboration? And start there. And then I think if you can prove that model, think about, does that help you define either the next region or the next industry or the next solution bundle that you can create? And I feel like once you have this collection of stories and joint solutions, that then warrants a larger marketing conversation around the power of an ecosystem. Here are people who have validated your go-to-market story, and the strength of the community adds stability to the conversations you're having with your customer.
Wow, absolutely. And this not only strengthens your go-to-market strategy, at the end also is strengthening the proposition you are selling to your investors, right? To your future investors. They want to understand that you have this infrastructure or these partners already, aligned with your business idea. So if you have this background, if you have this ecosystem already starting building these relationships, you have a stronger value proposition for your investors to say, okay, this company knows what they're doing. And this also comes with things I have seen, right? Especially in the robotics industry. Robotics is something very special. They need a big ecosystem to grow, right? Is you are building hardware, which also needs software, which also needs sometimes even some kind of subscription models, not all of them, but some of them, especially if you go to RAS. And then you need a manufacturing. So you have a lot of pieces to be able to build some product. And on top of that, if you are adding the burden to be trying to do sales inside your company, you are putting a lot of resources and a lot of weight on making a company to be successful, especially probably in the early stage. But in hyper growth, that you have a lot of experience, what do you think are the mistakes that are happening in go-to-market strategies that also small companies or, early stage companies can learn from?
I generally believe that people misunderstand what a partner will do for them and will oftentimes assume certain things. So for instance, you may say, I've signed a partnership agreement. We're going to do some tactics at this trade show. We're going to go out to the market and say we do stuff together. But oftentimes, that partner does not work for your company. That partner may have their own financial challenges. That partner may have lots of other partners that they're working with. And the assumption is that because we have a partner, we can dictate how we are working together. That partner collaboration is not intuitive to a lot of people, right? Unless you have been in this space for a while, the negotiation that's required to align KPIs or align goals, to set targets, to project manage actual tactics, to go through a pipeline list or a prospect list and define where we're going to go, who's going to take the lead, who's going to follow, how do we measure success, how do we close this deal together? a lot of those skills are not known. Unless you brought in a partner person, somebody who's done it before, you can often make mistakes. And that often breaks trust or breaks effectiveness of that partnership. I think the mistake that often is made is we can grow into this region and this one partner might be our solution, or we can grow into this industry and this partner might be our ticket. Do your diligence. Make sure you understand exactly the reputation of that partner. Make sure not just are they healthy financially and do their customers like them, but do they have the reach that you're looking for? If that's your expectation, make sure that they have the capacity to deliver. If they are completing a solution, are there 3 people in their company and they're stretched very thin and they're not going to meet your delivery deadlines or your agile sprints because they can't physically do it with the bandwidth they have? Or do they have dedicated resources that are going to be working side by side, hip to hip with you? I think we get excited about the idea of having a partner and we get excited about the idea of growing that space. But perhaps the reality of getting to know that company should temper maybe people's excitement.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I have seen that a couple of times. You were saying something at the beginning, right? Try to find the partners that are going to be adding value in the areas where you
Right.
need most, right? And especially at the beginning, you probably, instead of trying to have 10 different partners, you need only one, right? And you
Yeah.
start from that one, start learning, how the relationship grows, and then you keep adding and say, okay, I have a recipe now. I know I can I need another partner like this person, right? Instead of trying
Right.
to get as many as possible. One other thing I have seen, and you have also this experience in marketing, is a lot of people mistake of the what marketing means, right? And how
Mhm.
marketing also enable this channel grow and work
Yeah.
together with business development. So how do you think it should be working this, I would call it orchestration between marketing and business development?
So going back to that model of marketing follows the business, I think marketing needs a seat at the table, right? They need to be sitting down when you're doing that business planning and decide exactly where the business is going to grow. Exactly what are the priorities? Is it net new logos? Is it accelerating existing prospects? Is it entering a new space? Is it launching a new product? We need to decide what the business is demanding, and then marketers can tailor the marketing activities to meet that business objective. Um, we oftentimes have to lead because the business development people are as passionate as we are, and they're often thinking, how am I going to hit my number? We just need marketing at some other time, much later, when we've got a customer, we need a case study, or we're going to this trade show, we need someone to set up the booth, right? They're not thinking about crafting a marketing strategy for that business. And so being at the table early, I think, is really important. Um, as a marketer, I've learned to become a project manager in many cases and directing not only the internal alignment on that business plan, but facilitating the collaboration with the partner people. Partners don't work for us. They oftentimes have multiple priorities. If you have strong project management and you can show that you can pull different people in when needed, you can hold people accountable, you have a clear project plan, it's fully transparent for everybody to see. You are measuring things that help their company that validate that investment that they've made in you, helps your company validate making that investment again. Doing a postmortem to say, this worked really well, could we replicate this somewhere else? I'm always thinking about sort of the next phase. If it's going well, how do we capitalize on this? How do we do this again with another customer in another space? Maybe we do this with the same partner, but we go deeper on a topic. A lot of that project management is stuff that folks are not as interested in doing, and oftentimes is the labor that drives the execution. And oftentimes people are very happy when you do it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I love it, Christine. I think I can keep talking with you for hours because you and I have a lot of very similar experience. And I think before moving to my last question, I want to say, this question is very important. I would say for my audience because uh, I have been working in customer experience for a long time. And one of the reasons I start moving into marketing is because I see this challenge that I'm pretty sure you're going to define it better than me. How impact when marketing and business development and even product development are not aligned with the business plan, how this is impacting the customer experience for your customers?
I think the customers are rightly selective, right? And if they're seeing one thing from sales and one thing from a product delivery value prop, another thing from a marketing positioning, they're not going to stay, right? And they're not going to give you good scores, and you are not going to generate residual revenue and starburst those accounts. It's difficult in a small company to create alignment. Oftentimes there's a lot of silos. Everybody's moving very quickly. Everybody's got their own unique KPIs that are loosely tied to everybody else. But to have actual alignment when you say, we have a new product, we are releasing it with these features, we know that our sales reps are enabled, we know that our partners are enabled to hit the ground when customers have questions. We know that we're going to a trade show in a month where we're going to make a big splash and show a demo of that thing. We know that we've tied our executives up with some press teams to get the message out. We know that we've set up meetings at those conferences so that we can actually meet with prospects and show them. Maybe we've already had a pilot partner or pilot customer test and beta the solution, and now we have a case study. If you sense that the whole is bigger than the parts, you sense that momentum, and it's visceral, right? When it works, there is a motion that happens that customers feel, industry leaders feel, investors feel. It is hard, and it's more of an art than a science in some cases.
Yes.
And oftentimes people are moving so quickly, certainly in hypergrowth companies, that they forget to bring everybody, into the car with them. Oftentimes that's just setting an expectation, over communicating internally, asking questions, making sure that when we launch something, just because engineering says it's generally available and it's available on the portal to download or tech support's ready to go, that doesn't mean marketing needs to hit that date. Oftentimes we'll let partners and our technical people figure out the logistics of the solution. Maybe we go public with V1 and we've got technical support ready to go. Marketing might follow 2 weeks later. Once some of those bugs are done, once we can actually pick the date in which we might want to capitalize on a great customer webinar, a great blog post with that partner. Maybe we have a thought leadership panel in a breakout session at a trade show. We should not, as marketers, feel tied to how engineering or manufacturing is driving the release of the roadmap. We need to think more broadly about what is, to your point, the customer experience we would like to create. And then how do we pull our partners into that storyline so that ultimately that value shows up seamlessly to the end user?
Love it. Yes. I think you're saying everything that I will totally say every company needs to understand, right? That doesn't mean like, oh, I have this new product, new release tomorrow, we need to do the marketing, doesn't matter what, right? You really need to have some good strategy behind to make it, deliver a great experience. The way you deliver it is gonna make a big difference versus if you just wanna get a buzz in marketing or in social media.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, Christine, we are getting at the end of this podcast. I'm sad because I had a lot of questions, but I know we're running a little out of time here. So probably we do a part B. But if anything else you would like to be adding, for this podcast, anything you want the audience to know about you or how to reach out to you, happy to.
Sure. I would say that marketing is difficult. And it takes resilience. It takes intentionality. And so if you are a small company, if you're trying to figure out whether partnering is right for you, reach out to people like me, reach out to people in your community, figure out who's been doing this for a while and ask, what is some of the best practices? How can I get started and avoid some of these pitfalls? It does take resilience. You may not succeed in the first round. Be agile, be comfortable changing, be comfortable asking questions about why didn't this work? It is an iterative process. And there's a lot of us out here in the industry who have experienced it in big companies and small companies. And it's an opportunity to figure out how you're going to scale next year.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. One of the reasons I built also Robo Success is like you say, you don't have to do it alone. As somebody who start a company, right? There are a lot of people out there like you that have the experience that you can reach out and say, hey, I'm alone doing this and I don't have any idea because I'm building a product, I'm building a company, and I also need to build a strategy, right? Who can I start doing it? And well, you are not alone. And thank you so much, Christine, for saying that, right? I'm here,
Of
I can
course.
help you. That's very nice. And that's what I love about this community. And thank you again for joining me in this podcast. It was amazing to having you. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have more sessions like this.
It was my pleasure. I look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.